morning, everyone. Welcome from my home to yours. I'm Denise Thomas, president and owner of the Effective Communication Coach, LLC, and a proud member of the United Way Women's Leadership Council. I am so honored to be with each of you today to celebrate the 2020 Women United Bruncheon. Home. I think it's safe to say that the simple word of home has had a significant importance for all of us over the past several months. For many, the home became a place of comfort and safety. We slowed down our lives and looked for ways to reconnect with our always busy family members. For others, staying safe at home was only possible if they had a home. Since March, we've seen an economic downturn equivalent to the Great Depression of the 1930s. We've seen unprecedented job loss. We've seen eviction rates in our area explode. We've seen people pushed to the edge as the money in their bank accounts drained to zero. We've yet to discover the true impact of COVID-19, but we know one thing for certain: this is only the beginning. We also know that not everyone has been impacted by the pandemic equally. COVID-19 has laid bare the racial and gender inequities in our society. Recent studies show that the pandemic is having a disproportionately negative impact on women, particularly women of color, in multiple ways. Women are losing jobs in greater numbers than men, are doing most of the housework, child rearing, and homeschooling even when both parents are home, and are experiencing an increase in domestic violence. According to the World Economic Forum, COVID-19 is the biggest setback to gender equality in a decade. Our vision at United Way is that all people have an equal opportunity to succeed. So that's why we are gathered today. Women United. We're here to look at how COVID-19 and our new normal has affected women and families in our community. We're here to shine a light on the inequities in our society. And we're here to acknowledge that this is only the beginning. We have so much work that needs to be done. We believe that a community or an economy cannot truly be successful unless everyone succeeds, especially those that have the least. Today, we are gathered together to show our strength and power. This is an amazing network of women. Since the launch of United Way's Women United program, women leaders in our local community have made a significant impact on moving the needle in our world. Last year alone, these generous women, many of whom are tuning in virtually today, raised nearly $21 million. Locally, we have more than 2,300 women from Greater Milwaukee and Waukesha County involved in the Women United Network. This makes us the largest network in the world. If there is anyone in our society that can get something done, it's women. This is going to be an incredible event. We're honored to have some remarkable people who are joining us to share their insights on what is happening to women and families everywhere throughout our society. And we're going to hear about solutions, what each of us can do to live united. This year's presenting sponsor of our Bruncheon is Advocate Aurora Health, who shares our mission of improving the lives of individuals and families in our community. Thank you, Advocate Aurora, for being such strong advocates for women and girls in our community and for sustaining your commitment in building awareness by sponsoring this event for the last 15 years. It is now my pleasure to introduce to you Christy Garcia-Thomas, Chief External Affairs Officer for Advocate Aurora Health.
Thanks, Denise. It's my honor and privilege to be here with you today. Advocate Aurora Health is proud to be a long-standing sponsor and supporter of United Way and the Women United Bruncheon. Like most things in 2020, this event looks a bit different this year, but our shared commitment to the health of women and girls remains steadfast. Over the years, we have come together on the Healthy Youth Initiative to reduce teen pregnancy throughout our region. The results have been incredible, and the latest update on this important work will be presented later today. Now, we are here together again, fighting a worldwide pandemic. COVID-19 has impacted all of us in one way or another, and the effects of this crisis have reverberated throughout our communities. We've all seen the disproportionate impact that COVID-19 has made on the most vulnerable, including women in our community. And I'm encouraged by United Way's effort to keep women and their families at risk of eviction in safe and stable homes. At Advocate Aurora Health, we are committed to health equity and focused on closing the gaps between populations and improving health outcomes in the communities we serve. As a healthcare leader, we have a responsibility and an opportunity to address inequities that undermine individual and community health. We believe that health equity is made possible when every person has equal opportunity to achieving optimal health, and it is therefore central to our mission to help all people live well. Our objective is to improve lifelong health and quality of life for our patients, team members, and communities. One of our key focus areas with the highest potential impact on health is the need for housing, which is why United Way's focus on eviction prevention is so important to us and to our community. Finally, I'd like to take a moment to personally congratulate THELMA SIAS. She is today's recipient of the 2020 Linda T. Mellowes Woman Leader of the Year Award. THELMA's passion and strategic thinking have been key to advancing diversity and equity in Milwaukee. She is an inspiration, and I can't think of anyone more deserving of this award. Thank you for all your incredible dedication to women and girls' health and helping them to live well. Enjoy today's bruncheon.
Thank you, Christy. So let's get started. In a moment, you'll hear from each of our presenters, and then it will be time to answer your questions live through the power of technology. I will be joined by the President and CEO of United Way of Greater Milwaukee and Waukesha County, Amy Lindner, and Suzanne McCormick, U.S. President of United Way Worldwide. We welcome your questions and comments as we dive deeper into the topics we'll be discussing throughout our program. You won't need to do a thing but sit back and enjoy. We'll provide you instructions later on how to submit a question. So for now, start thinking of your questions. And speaking of Suzanne McCormick, we are so honored to have her with us today. Suzanne was named U.S. President of United Way Worldwide in June of 2019. She is responsible for helping the 1,100 local United Ways across the United States trailblaze in the philanthropic space to build more resilient, inclusive, and sustainable communities. Please help me welcome Suzanne McCormick.
Thank you, Denise, and thank you so much for the opportunity to join you today. It's incredible that there are 2,300 women part of Women United in Greater Milwaukee. So impressive, and it's a real privilege for me to get to join this bruncheon today. I've never given remarks without some notes, so not going to hide the fact that I do have some notes, and I'm going to refer to them occasionally as I spend this time with you. We all know that COVID has changed our world, and it's changed our lives forever, for better and for worse. But I think we have a choice. The choice is ours as to whether or not we're going to learn from it and we're going to change, or are we going to return to our pre-COVID days. Those days when I think we found it easier to ignore the inequities in our communities, in our society, in our country, and around the globe. Inequities that are racial, that are socioeconomic, and that are gender-based. I read a lot of articles, I know all of us did, around different people's reactions and experiences through COVID. One that I really found quite profound was written, it was in the Financial Times. It was a ways back. It was in April, on April 3rd, and it was written by Arundhati Roy, and it was entitled "The Pandemic is a Portal." And I want to read just a couple excerpts from that. It was in the Arts and Life section of the Financial Times. And Arundhati wrote, "Who can look at anything anymore? A door handle, a cardboard cotton, a bag of vegetables, without imagining it swarming with those unseeable, undead, unliving blobs dotted with suction pads waiting to fasten themselves onto our lungs. Who can think of kissing a stranger, jumping onto a bus, or sending their child to school without feeling real fear? Who can think of ordinary pleasure and not assess its risk? Who among us is not a quack epidemiologist, virologist, statistician, or prophet? Which scientist or doctor is not secretly praying for a miracle? Which priest is not secretly, at least, submitting to science? And even while the virus proliferates, who could not be thrilled by the swell of birdsong in cities, peacocks dancing at traffic crossings, and the silence in the skies?" He goes on to write about the tragedies that were occurring and are still occurring in his home country of India. So he opens with this beautiful, poetic, artistic paragraph, and then goes on to describe just really hard to read atrocities about how people in his country were treated in an inequitable way in and throughout the pandemic. And I think we've seen those same kinds of inequities play out here in the United States as well. The disproportionate impact on communities of color and on women. I don't think we should be surprised by that, though, because those inequities were there before we started the pandemic. They've just been exacerbated and can't go unnoticed. So at the end of this fairly long and very detailed and graphic article about so much that was sad, he ends with this paragraph. "Historically, pandemics have forced human beings to break with the past and imagine their world anew. This one is no different. It is a portal, a gateway between one world and the next. We can choose to walk through it, dragging the carcasses of our prejudice and hatred, our avarice, our databanks and dead ideas, our dead rivers and smoky skies behind us. Or we can walk through lightly, with little luggage, ready to imagine another world and ready to fight for it." As we reimagine and rebuild a more resilient world, it has never been more important to keep those who have suffered the injustice of inequities at the center of it. And women are one of those groups, because so many of the unseen problems that we know are out there but aren't sort of on the news every day that are coming from the pandemic are disproportionately impacting women, and they don't make the headlines. Things like domestic violence or the burden of having to take care of family and children and jobs in a way that doesn't feel fair in a home. So just so many challenges that we know women are facing. And I believe that our fight for equity and our efforts around advocacy have never been more important. And so I thank you for being part of Women United. Women United are the women in Women United are some of the most forceful, fierce, vocal advocates in the United Way movement. And they've had profound change. And we need to keep that spirit and that energy moving forward, because the world needs us more than ever. And for those of you in Milwaukee, you are part, as you know, of a global movement, more than 70,000 women in 6 countries, led by the Women United Global Leadership Council. So continue, please, to be part of this powerful group, and please let us not go back to normal. Normal wasn't working for millions of people, and old broken systems won't fix those changes. The future of our communities and our individuals depends on some moonshot thinking, quite frankly, some innovation and creativity. That's one of the really encouraging things that I saw in our response, our United Way response to COVID, was innovation and creativity. And whenever I have a chance to talk to our leaders in the network, I always say, please don't ever step away from that. Don't go back to old ways of doing business. Continue to push to think creatively. I hope many of you saw the recent United We Count, United We Vote campaign that United Way Worldwide rolled out in partnership with the Women United Global Leadership Council. One of the things we did was launch a gender equity micro campaign in honor of the 100th anniversary of the women's right to vote. This was to recognize, but also to continue to elevate our fight for women's equity and empowerment. I got to be part of a workshop that we did a couple weeks ago, and I continue to learn a lot about our suffragists and the women leaders who have helped bring us to where we are today. Also, a couple of weeks ago, I got to participate in a racial equity training led by Robin DiAngelo, who is the author of several books, but probably most well known for White Fragility. And I wanted to share with you two of the really important lessons of many that I took away from that workshop, which was focused on race equity, but also focused on gender equity. One of the images that Dr. DiAngelo shared was, it was one of those badges that appears on Facebook or Google to celebrate those anniversaries. And so she shared this image. It's an image of 9 women with their arms up saying, "We voted." And then I also found another image similar and also honoring RBG, again with a bunch of different women pictured, again celebrating our right to vote. And the point that Dr. DiAngelo was trying to make is that at first glance, these images are appearing to be inclusive of all women, women of color, and celebrating the efforts of all women suffragists. But what we know is that movement was not an inclusive movement. It left behind many Black women and other women of color who fought beside their white sisters to fight for the right to vote. But the reality is they didn't get that right to vote for many decades later. And we need to recognize and honor those women because they were part of a movement but were initially left behind. Women like Ida Wells, who went on to help found the NAACP, women like Mary Terrell, who led the establishment of suffragist clubs or suffrage clubs throughout the country that really garnered support. And these are women that I wasn't taught about. These are women that I had to learn about myself. I had to look for the information. And I would say the same. My daughter's an 18-year-old senior in high school, and she's studied the women's movement, and she didn't learn about these women either because our history teaches us about only a small group of those women. One of my teammates shared with me this idea of what if there was an interactive experience that you could take women back, sort of in a time warp, and to help them experience how their experience in the women's suffrage movement would have been different if they had been a Black woman or another woman of color or a poor woman. What would they have experienced? Because we know they didn't get the same benefits that white women got. The second lesson that I took away from that workshop is related to what we've already heard from the World Economic Forum, that COVID-19 is setting back gender equity by decades. We know that women are losing their jobs in greater numbers than men, and they are bearing the brunt of taking care of their families, children, homeschooling. We are still paid less than men, and we live in a society that is still dominated by men in almost all positions of power. If you don't believe me, let me share some of the stats that she shared. And I'd seen these before, but again, they really just stuck with me. If you look at the top CEOs at the Fortune 500 companies, 98% of them are men. In the presidency and vice presidency, obviously, 100% male. But then if you look at what has been called the most diverse Congress and Senate in our lifetimes, the Senate is still 75% male and the House of Representatives is 77% male. And you can look down this list: mayors, governors, judges, police officers. And also, if you look at some of the largest religious denominations, women still aren't allowed to be leaders. So these are mostly men. They're mostly white men who are making decisions on behalf of women. And the point that Robin DiAngelo was making, that is, if men wanted to take away our power to vote, they could. Would they? Most likely not, but they could. And that's why it's imperative that we find our voices, because we have to have diverse representation in all seats of power and bodies of power. And that's why I'm so excited about our work with United We Count, United We Vote, and the work of Women United across the country. You are women who are bringing your voices to lead change, and we need it more than ever. I was asked to participate in an interview with Forbes Women, and it was around women leaders during COVID. And, one of the questions I was asked, well, how do you think, women are faring? And I said something to the effect is we've been doing hard stuff all our lives. Even before COVID, we were balancing caring for families and our children while also working, either in a paid position or as a volunteer. And I think we have proven that on any given day, we can be a mother, a teacher, an errand runner, a cook, a house cleaner, a partner or a spouse, and a leader. And so while our male counterparts may have found that more challenging, I know for me at least, when COVID started, it felt kind of like my life has felt, some essence of it for forever and ever. We are strong and we are resilient, and we have to keep at it. To wrap, I want to share one of my favorite quotes from Margaret Thatcher related to that. She says, "Any woman who understands the problems of running a home will be nearer to understanding the problems of running a country." I think we all know that what we do today will determine whether or not women will continue to suffer pay differences or penalties for leaving the workplace, whether or not individuals receive hazard pay for being on the front lines, whether or not we're able to provide free education or childcare for families, and whether or not the pay gap between women and men is eliminated or it grows. We as Women United have an opportunity to walk through this portal before us with little luggage, but fierce determination, ready to imagine another world and ready to fight for it. I hope you will join me. Thanks for having me.
Hi, I'm Milwaukee Mayor Tom Barrett, and I want to welcome all of you to this very, very important United Way brunch. 2020 has, without a doubt, been one of the most challenging, if not the most challenging year of our lifetime. From the COVID-19 pandemic, to the economic tsunami, to the fight for racial justice, we know that we are really at a moment of history in our community, in our state, and in our nation. And with all of those challenges, there has never been a more important time for the United Way. There's never been a more important time for you to support the United Way, because its mission to improve the quality of life for people in our community is needed now more than ever. Without a doubt, people of color, women of color, and women in particular have been adversely affected by the pandemic and the economic tsunami. We know that there are women who are disproportionately impacted by the number of evictions, by the challenges with childcare, with the difficulties in raising a child while still trying to maintain a job. Those are all very, very important issues in our community, and United Way has been there every step of the way to help women along. So thank you for being here today. Thank you for supporting the women of our community, and thank you for supporting the United Way.
Everyone, I am so happy to be here with you today at one of my favorite annual United Way events, a tremendous celebration of all things women, Women United, and all the incredible work that you all do year-round. What a year this has been. What a strange time this has been. And I know for all of us, It's difficult to remember almost a time before COVID. We've all had so much on our plates, and I want to celebrate today in particular women and the work women do and the burdens you all have been lifting and carrying. From early on in March, United Way has focused a large portion of our work and efforts on helping our nonprofit agency partners keep their clients safe and healthy. We've been in response mode. I step back now and I look at the staggering list of items and services that we provided through the generosity of so many with support to our COVID-19 Urgent Needs Fund. Hand sanitizer, masks, gloves, diapers, food, cleaning supplies, personal protective equipment, and the list goes on and on. COVID-19 is showing all of us how fragile our communities are. There are so many things that we could talk about today, but what I really want to focus on is women and how women have kept their children and their families safe and stable at this very challenging time. A simple statement says it all. It's hard to stay safe at home if you don't have a home. Everything starts with the home, whether it's an address so you can be employed, or being able to stay in the same school all year, or having a place to cook a healthy meal together. We know that the root of all good things is a sense of place and a sense of home. Yet many families in our community don't have a safe and stable home, or are one missed rent or mortgage payment away from homelessness. Here are some simple yet powerful statistics. The unemployment rate in Wisconsin jumped from 3.1% in March to 14.1% in April, according to the Wisconsin Department of Workforce Development. And, according to Journal Sentinel Online, eviction filings jumped 42% statewide over 2019 levels, and slightly more even in Milwaukee County in the first 2 weeks of June of 2020. This all adds up to one thing. So many, too many of our families are either at risk of homelessness or have already lost their homes. So what are we going to do about it? Last year we set a goal: end family homelessness by 2025. It's an initiative we call Safe and Stable Homes. And I'm so pleased to say that in our first year, we've already begun the work. Year one's priority is to prevent evictions through legal aid, financial assistance, and the creation of the Rental Housing Resource Center. On the screen, you can see 13 programs that United Way will be funding in 2020 and 2021. One of these programs is the Eviction Defense Project, which you will hear more about in just a moment. Some of the first calls we got, as early as the first week in March, came from our wonderful shelter programs, and they needed help. They needed the supplies to keep their staff and their clients safe. We wanted you to hear from someone who is doing the hard work every single day. The mission of the Cathedral Center is to provide a safe environment for women and families while working to end homelessness one life at a time. They see firsthand the struggles women and families are facing during these challenging times.
Cathedral Center provides emergency shelter and emergency housing for women and families with children who are experiencing homelessness or a housing crisis. We provide preventive services for people who are in a crisis but not yet homeless, because we want to help them to avoid coming into shelter. But if they need to come into shelter, we have the space to do that. While they're in shelter, they'll receive services from a case manager who will conduct an assessment and help them establish an individualized plan for independence with goals focused on increasing income, securing safe housing, and addressing health and wellness needs. Since the pandemic hit, Cathedral Center has been forced to reduce the number of people that we serve in our emergency shelter, which is really unfortunate because the demand is increasing. So it makes us very, very sad. But in order to maintain a safe and healthy environment for everybody and for our employees, we have to maintain a small room that we can let people sleep in for short-term isolation if someone comes back in and is presenting with symptoms. So we did have to reduce our capacity by 6 women each night. In addition to that, what we know is that we have to extend our clients a little more grace. They're dealing with incredible trauma. I go to bed every night grateful for everything that I have, and also exhausted and stressed out because of all of the things that are involved in operating this program and these services. And if that's how I feel, I can only imagine what they're feeling. What I know about women and families as a result of this pandemic is that they're more often sleeping in cars. They're not able to access shelters as much as they used to. Shelter space is at a premium right now. There are folks with compromised health situations that they need to attend to, and they just don't have the same resources as they used to, because it takes longer for everything to get everything. And so more often we are serving people in shelter and instead of preventing them from coming into shelter. I hope that Cathedral Center's emphasis on preventive work in the past couple of months and in the coming years will help bridge that gap a little bit. I see the need for an emergency response to homelessness for families doubling in the next 3 to 6 months. United Way's Safe and Stable Homes funding has enabled me to hire a top-notch case manager whose job it is solely to work in the community and reach out to people before they need to come into shelter.
I have a family who was impacted greatly by COVID and the lack of childcare access once the shelter-in-place order was put in. So she had been working full-time and her 4 children were in childcare. As a result of folks needing to shelter in place, she lost her childcare as they closed, and then she lost her job because she didn't have reliable childcare. That put her into a tailspin of housing crisis, and she was facing street homelessness with her and her 4 children. She was able to enroll in the Safe and Stable Homes program here at the Cathedral Center with my community case management, and secured housing and a job within 10 days of one another. So in terms of the longevity and ultimate goal of this program is right along lines with the idea of ending family homelessness in 2025 and providing families with resources and support while they're experiencing crises, but before they're having to enter shelter. So kind of reimagining what homelessness looks like and what support looks like. So folks are able to come in and be connected to housing support, be connected to employment support, those types of things, and additional community referrals so they really feel that they're supported and have a foundation so they're able to avoid having to come into a shelter.
Since August of 2019, donors like yourselves have already invested $770,000 in Safe and Stable Homes. Let's learn more about how we invested those dollars.
Eviction really is a traumatic event, right? We're talking about a cataclysmic event in someone's life, in a family's life, that upends really everything. It is incredibly impactful and harmful, not just to the tenant who has to go through it, the families that have to go through it, but to the community as a whole. And the impacts of eviction affect education, health, employment, crime rates, because one eviction will often lead to more.
If you're someone who has never had the serious misfortune of facing eviction, it can be really hard to understand sort of just what a momentous thing that is for a family. If you're home right now, look around, look at your stuff, think about how it feels to be safe in your home and to be on the brink of losing all of that.
Poverty is the issue that underlies the entire concept of eviction. It's what drives a lot of the problems that people have paying. COVID-19 is a perfect example of why people can't make rent, because it leads to them either losing their job, facing reduced hours, being put on furlough. Non-payment, though, isn't always driven by just an inability to pay. A lot of times, a reason that tenants will not pay rent is not because they can't. It's because they're dealing with conditions issues that are not being addressed by their landlords. The Eviction Defense Project is legal action's response to the eviction epidemic that's raging through our community. The Eviction Defense Project was created to provide in-court representation to tenants who are facing eviction. And we do that by using volunteer attorneys to provide representation to tenants at the moment they need it most, which is in eviction court. When someone is evicted, they're asked to go to court and represent themselves in a foreign proceeding that is daunting, if not terrifying. People without a lawyer, because they're making the best of a bad situation, will sometimes agree to terms of stipulation that are unreasonable, that are impossible for them to meet. The problem is that if they're not able to keep up with the terms of that stipulation, they'll find themselves dealing with the same risk of homelessness just weeks later.
My name is Kevin Long. I'm a litigation partner at Quarles & Brady. I got involved in the Eviction Defense Project as part of our firm's pro bono program. First, you help that tenant understand and interpret the proceeding that's happening so that they can understand their rights and how they're being affected. Second, you're somebody to advocate on their behalf, as you do with any other client. And the third, and perhaps most important, is to be somebody who stands with that tenant and is on their side. The Eviction Defense Project provides, you might call it a safe place, or within that physical courthouse that's on their side. It's their place.
When you think about what a community is, eviction really attacks the heart of that. It takes the people that are part of a neighborhood and removes them from it. The fewer relationships that people have within those areas with each other, that leads to a loss of community.
I'm really glad that I've had the chance to personally volunteer with the Eviction Defense Project, a program that makes sure that individuals facing eviction have lawyers alongside them in what can be a scary process that has a huge impact on their and their families' lives. A Gift to United Way's Safe and Stable Homes initiative funds programs like the Eviction Defense Project, which are going to help us end family homelessness in our region by 2025.
The funding from United Way is really critical because it's filled that financial gap that's created by the loss of our federal funding. So we are going to be able to continue providing services to tenants, continue providing representation, and continue to help people really at the time that they need it most.
We so appreciate the work of Raphael and his team at the Eviction Defense Project, who have been just doing an extraordinary job keeping people in their homes. Here's how you can help. It starts with our eviction prevention kit. While this may not actually be a physical kit, your donation provides resources for so many in our community who are at risk of eviction. This kit includes legal advice for clients facing eviction, settlement assistance, document drafting, and in-court representation. For $50, you can support the Eviction Defense Project by clicking on the donate button at the top of your screen. You can also make a contribution by visiting the Women United page on the United Way website. Help us continue our fight for women and families everywhere. It wouldn't be a Women United Bruncheon without talking about our 14 years of work in preventing teen pregnancy. Some of you here with us today have been at this effort since day one, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about what's been going on in the past year to assure you that although we have a lot of work to do around COVID and other community conditions, we have not let up our efforts to address this critical community issue. The Healthy Youth Initiative partners have found creative ways to engage youth since March, including weekly check-ins, online sexual health curricula education, and even no-contact porch deliveries of program materials. In our 2020-21 funding year, we are investing over $460,000 in 11 programs that are going to reach over 2,800 young people. Since Healthy Youth began in 2001, we've invested over $9.3 million, serving over 48,000 youth and their parents and caregivers. Although we've seen great success as a community, we cannot become complacent. This issue will remain a priority for years to come because, as you know, there are new 13 and 14-year-olds every day. A special thank you to Advocate Aurora, an inaugural partner in this work and one of the first investors in our Teen Pregnancy Prevention Collaborative Fund.
Hello everyone. I am thrilled to be with you today to announce the winner of the 2020 Linda T. Mellowes Woman of the Year Award. Next to being in the same sentence with Linda Mellowes, getting to introduce this year's winner is the best reward for being a United Way lifer. This award is pretty special. First, it is named for a woman, and second, that woman is a living legend. Linda Mellowes was the very first female United Way board chair, and this award recognizes the powerful impact women like Linda have in our community. Linda was a founding member of our Women United Network, inspiring us all to be the best Women United team in the world. She is passionate, engaged, and committed to improving the lives of others. And for all that she has done for us in Milwaukee, we created this award in her honor, recognizing the incredible qualities she demonstrates every day. The Woman Leader of the Year Award is presented to a woman who exhibits leadership and is highly respected in our community, who serves as a role model and/or mentor to other women and girls, who gives back to the greater Milwaukee and Waukesha County community through her time, talent, and treasure, who demonstrates a commitment to further Women United's mission, inspiring women in our community to donate financially and be strong advocates for women and girls. You can see the previous year's honorees on the screen now, and I want to acknowledge our very first winner, Jan Martin, who won the award in 2016. Sadly, Jan passed away on May 8th of this year after a very long battle with lung disease. Jan was a long-standing member of the Teen Pregnancy Prevention Oversight Committee. Jan and all of these women have made immense contributions in our community and embody what it means to be fearless leaders. And speaking of fearless leaders, I am honored today to announce that this year's award goes to a true force in our community, THELMA A. SIAS. Actually, Miss THELMA is a true force of nature. Like this award's namesake, THELMA is intimately aware of who needs to be at the table when addressing community issues, and she gets them there. When THELMA says she needs you, you show up. When THELMA says she's going to get involved, she gets actively involved. She rolls up her sleeves and she gets to work. And when THELMA believes we need to advocate for those whose voices often go unheard, she does. And THELMA's voice never goes unheard. In 2014, we were honored to have THELMA serve as one of United Way's community campaign co-chairs. THELMA stepped up to the plate and led United Way to a successful campaign. And when THELMA leads, we all follow. She is an inspirational woman. Smart, funny, bold, persistent, committed, and always hopeful, and most definitely a style icon. She takes the words role model to new heights. She has demonstrated time and time again her dedication to improving lives in her neighborhood and in our greater community, all lives. And for that, we are eternally grateful. THELMA, we ask some of those who know you best to share a few words.
Maya Angelou shared, content is of great importance, but we must not underrate the value of style. That is, attention must be paid to not only what is said, but how it is said, to what we wear, as well as how we wear it. In fact, we should be aware of all we do and of how we do all that we do. That speaks well of THELMA SIAS. THELMA, I am so proud of you. Congratulations on this recognition. I am so happy that we've been able to partner on countless initiatives throughout the last several decades. Congratulations. Well deserved.
Hi, THELMA. The Linda T. Mellowes Women's Leadership Award was designed specifically for someone like you. You give from your heart. You give to people that you know. You give to people that you don't know. You do it boldly. You do it quietly. I know for myself, you have helped me tremendously during my tenure at the United Way, and you've really helped me through some troubled times as a friend and a colleague and a mentor, and I love you dearly for that. Congratulations on this award. Enjoy the day.
Hello, Thelma. Linda Gorans congratulating you and being the recipient of the 2020 Linda Mellowes Woman of the Year Award. We've always had a special bond, probably because we're both so shy and quiet. Thank you for being a champion of change in Milwaukee and for fighting for the things you believe in. Milwaukee, United Way, and the Women's Leadership Council have been the beneficiary of your efforts. Peace, sister.
Thelma, you inspire all of us. We all have to work harder to be the people that you expect us to be, and you make us better people. Thank you for that, and congratulations.
Hi, Thelma. Congratulations on being named this year's Linda T. Mellowes Woman of the Year Award recipient. This is such a well-deserved honor for you. Thank you for everything that you do each and every day to make this country and this world a better place. We need more Thelmas in the world.
Thelma, congratulations on this much-deserved honor. You do so much for our community. You lead in such incredible ways. You inspire in such incredible ways. We could not be happier and prouder to be your partner and are so very glad to see you get this wonderful recognition. Congratulations.
Vice President SIAS, congratulations on being the 2020 Linda Mellowes Woman of the Year honoree. I couldn't think of a more deserving person than you for this special recognition. Thanks for all that you've done to make our community better, for leading with wisdom and with heart and with boldness all the time, every place you go, and with everyone you speak. I'm so glad that I've had the pleasure of learning as much as I have from you, and I'm so happy today that we all get to celebrate you in your extraordinary leadership. My very best wishes for you and Steve, and look forward to seeing what you do next to make our community better. All the best.
To a woman who has given to so many, whose boldness has impacted countless, for your leadership, we say thank you, and whose presence is felt every time she enters a room. Miss Thelma, congratulations.
Thelma, you make our community better each and every day in terms of all the things that you do. Congratulations on this well-deserved award. Take care, my friend.
Thelma, congratulations on receiving the 2020 Linda Mellowes Woman Leader of the Year Award. You are truly amazing.
Congratulations, Thelma. You're an unstoppable force for change in everything that you sink your teeth into, and Milwaukee's a better place for it. And I'm a better person because of your friendship. Keep up the fight.
Well, guess who it is? Your favorite chef, Chef DeBoer Briggs-Ross. I have been with you for 15 years. Our journey started with the Girlfriend's Health Guide for Women of Color. And your question was, so you're a chef. Do you know how to cook? And from that day forward, we have been together. We have been through so much together, so many meals, so many clients, so many dignitaries. And I got that exposure, THELMA A. SIAS, because of THELMA A. SIAS. You have exposed me, you have stretched me, and you have helped me to grow. You are truly my mentor, as many others. I love you so. And I just wanted to say congratulations on this day. Congratulations, Thelma.
Hello, Women United Bruncheon. It's Cory Booker.
I am so grateful that you all are honoring one of the truly phenomenal women that I've met as I've crisscrossed the country. THELMA is somebody that is a light worker, especially right now during these dark times. She is a true servant leader. She is one of those people of extraordinary grace and frankly shows the greatest of all human virtues to everyone, which is just sense of love, boundless love. I have considered it a blessing in my life that the Lord made our paths cross. She has inspired me. She has fortified me. She has challenged me. She has made sure that I stay true in the path. And so thank you for being that kind of leader, THELMA. And I know God ain't finished with you yet. Some of your great days of service still lie ahead. Wishing you and everyone there my best. And I hope to get a chance to get back out there very soon and hang out at THELMA's place, eat some of that good food. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye now.
Congratulations, Aunt Thelma. I'm so proud of you because it's such a well-deserved honor. I'm just grateful for your love and all of your lessons because without them, I wouldn't be who I am. Love you.
Thelma, I was so thrilled to see that you were the honoree for this year. You are such an inspiration and you motivate everybody. Someone so generous with her time, talent, and treasure. How could we not be motivated? Someone who's tenacious and has dedicated her life to uplifting others, who is steadfast with the resolve required to overcoming obstacles that present themselves in the fight for a more equitable and just society. Thelma, we are so lucky to have you in this community. You make our community better for all of us. I particularly treasure our friendship and the conversation that we shared a couple of weeks ago when we were talking together. Congratulations, Thelma.
Please join me in celebrating all that Thelma has done for our community and congratulating her on being the 2020 Linda T. Mellowes Woman of the Year. Thank you, Thelma. We love you.
I am so delighted to be here today at the Women United Bruncheon, sponsored by United Way of Greater Milwaukee and Waukesha County. I'm here today to accept the Linda T. Mellowes Woman of the Year Award. I want to take a moment and say thank you to Linda for her extraordinary leadership and helping women to be able to be in the room, come to the table, and be mentored into leadership, as she has done for me and countless other women. On behalf of all of us, we simply say thank you for your courage, for your leadership, in showing us how to stand in our leadership role. As I accept this award today, I must make sure that I remind all of us about the legacy of the gift of an award. One must look out and over their lives to make sure you recognize the people who've made it possible. I'm standing here today with the ability to accept this award because of the extraordinary leadership of my late parents, Roosevelt and Pauline SIAS, the two people who taught me early in my life that it was important in my leadership style to treat every person I meet with the same dignity and respect I so desire. To a family of six brothers, 4 sisters, Liz, Jackie, Gail, and Cheryl, thank you all for reminding me day in and day out to be humble and understand the importance of caring with love, friendship, and sisterhood for other people. And to all of the women that have been a part of my life journey, thank you for being the shoulders I can lean on and the shoulders that help me to be able to stand on as well. And to Stephen P. Adams, my husband of 36 years, the love of my life, my best friend, and my greatest cheerleader, thank you for the times when I said I didn't want to and could not, always encouraging me to do so. I want to make sure that each of you know that as we accept awards and move into our leadership role, it's important to be able day in and day out to reach to the back, to the side, and in front of you and bring other people in to the role of leadership. The other critical thing we need to be able and willing to do is pass the baton of leadership on to the next and the next and the next generation of women leaders. I was completely moved by the remarks of our Vice President nominee, Senator Kamala Harris' acceptance speech. She said there was no vaccine to cure racism. And the challenge we have as women today is to understand how important it is for us to sign up and be a part of the research study to bring the cure to racism and sexism in this country, this community, and in this world. Because we are the ones that can indeed stand up and be the voice on behalf of others. We are the ones that when we're in the room and someone is being mistreated and have the voice to say, I don't think it's fair and we should not treat that person that way. We are the ones that when we're in the room and all of the views and opinions are not being considered, everyone is not at the table to be able to navigate and negotiate for great outcomes. We are the ones that should say, we need other voices and views and opinion at this table. As women, we are the ones that have to say day in and day out, I am not going to stand by and say it's okay for women, children, and families to be homeless and hungry because of someone's ego and someone standing in the way. I'm going to step up and indeed make sure they have more. As we mourn the loss of Chief Justice, Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, we all need to know and look at her life. A small physical woman indeed, but she was a giant of strategy and a belief that we deserve a better and just justice system. She stood firmly. She got up every time she was knocked down. She told us day in and day out, when others said it couldn't be done, she showed us how to do it. She showed us as women how to stand in our heels and make sure other people heard us and saw us. So as we've seen the examples of so many, today is the day that we all should make the commitment. We're going to stand up, have a voice be heard. We're going to bring other women along, and we're going to be the ones to bring the cure for racism and sexism throughout this country. Again, I say to you, thank you for the honor of receiving this award today. And I join with you, and I encourage you to join with me to pass the baton of leadership on to the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you to all of our amazing presenters. And again, congratulations to THELMA for all of her remarkable work in our community. Now, it is time to hear from you. So here's what we're going to do. Now stay exactly where you are. We will transition on our end to a live broadcast. We would love your questions, so simply type your question in our question box. We're going to do our best to address as many questions as we can in our time together. And now, if you would be so kind to purchase an eviction prevention kit, just click on the donate button at the top of the screen and you'll be guided through the process. Thank you so much. We'll see you in just a few minutes.
I am so honored to be hosting this live portion of our 2020 United Way of Greater Milwaukee and Waukesha Counties Women United Bruncheon. I have the esteemed pleasure of hosting this live Q&A portion with two incredible women that are definitely united, need no introduction, but for the purpose of formality, I will introduce our two beautiful guests today. We have Suzanne McCormick, who is the U.S. President of United Way Worldwide. Thank you so much for being here, Suzanne. We are so thrilled to have you. And we also have our very own United Way of Greater Milwaukee and Waukesha County President and CEO, Amy Lindner. So happy to see you both, ladies. How are you?
Fantastic. So inspired. Wow, what a great day.
This has been an incredible day. And Suzanne, again, we thank you so much for being here. It looks like there's some sunshine coming in your direction. We're hoping that we had a lot to do with that coming in to your view. Amy, how are you?
I'm so good. I love this day, and I of course miss being with everyone, but seeing the names, seeing the chat, seeing all the faces and those pictures and everyone who wanted to honor Thelma, and it just, man, it's fantastic. It's a fantastic day.
It has been. And I don't know if it's too late to get Thelma on the presidential ballot, but I'm definitely going to make some phone calls today. What do y'all think, ladies? We need to get...
I'm with her. I'm with you.
Let's make this happen. Let's make this happen.
2024. All right, so we are here today. And first, let me just, on behalf of both Suzanne and Amy, thank each of you for making the time to be here. We want to also thank each of you that have purchased an eviction prevention kit. We so very much appreciate your support. This is so necessary during these times. And as we are part of this live segment, we want to encourage each of you to use the chat box. I'm going to point, maybe it's this way or maybe it's that way, but definitely use that as your platform to ask questions. You will see the word questions on your screen under the chat box and the word ask. Simply click on the word ask and you will be able to type in and submit your questions. And you can return to the chat function by clicking the X on the question box on the top right of the box. And we're going to do our best to get as many questions. I know many of you want to take full advantage of having access to our global leader, Suzanne, and our very own leader of Milwaukee, Amy. So please understand that we're going to do our best to get all of your questions. If not, I'm going to give both Suzanne and Amy's personal cell phone number. No, I'm just kidding. But we are going to do our best to answer your questions first. And I'm going to ask this to you, Suzanne. The question is, during this time of social distancing, how, from your perspective, can we safely continue to serve and impact our community?
I had the privilege, from where I sit, looking at and connecting every day with United Ways across the country, had the privilege of seeing, as I said in my remarks earlier, so much innovation and creativity come forward in how organizations have engaged, United Way has engaged, and other organizations have engaged to serve their communities. And I think that I'm so excited about that innovation and where it goes. For example, you know, we've just seen, remember when telehealth was a new thing? Now telehealth is sort of the norm. Mental health is now being delivered virtually. Mentoring for kids is now being offered virtually. So I think we have to continue to look for creative ways. I also think, you know, since we had this conversation earlier around equity, we really need to test the equity in that access. I personally believe that, and maybe this is something Women United can take on, that in order for people to be able to have virtual care and supports brought to them, they have to be able to have access to the internet. So I would argue that broadband should be a basic right, a fundamental right for people. It's not a nice to have anymore. And I think that's something as women that we've got to advocate for, because people aren't going to get the help they need. I also think, you know, I have the luxury of, you know, on a daily basis when I'm bored in a Zoom meeting to do my shopping online, or to, you know, go to Amazon and have paper towels delivered or food delivered. And so that ability for care to be brought to homes, again, I think there's huge opportunity for us to think about how we increase that activity. Last thing I'll say is we also just saw amazing examples of virtual volunteering. You know, people picking up the phone and calling seniors, or you know, calling those who are in programs that need support. And that's kind of old fashioned, but we got to just get back to that as well.
Wow. Suzanne, thank you so much. I'm literally taking notes. And there are so many things that you highlighted that for many of us, we have taken for granted. And so definitely volunteering just through virtual meetings with senior citizens and making sure that everyone around us has equal access to technology. Brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing that. Amy, thoughts, perspectives?
Yeah, I was taking notes too. I'll start with 3 words that everyone hears us say again and again and again. And those are give, advocate, and volunteer. The United Way team spent so much time over this summer. We are so grateful for the help and
and sharing of the wisdom from United Way Worldwide to help us be ready to be fully virtual this fall to run our campaigns, to make sure we had virtual volunteer opportunities available right now on our website. So as soon as this is done, please go check those out, and how important that advocacy is. So Suzanne, you'll be glad to know we are already thinking hard about that technological divide in this community, and this year have lifted a brand new initiative that we've called Techquity. So the idea of our Techquity effort is every family, school children, but also the parents and families of those children need to be able to access the hardware and the internet that they need to be able to help their family function right now in this modern economy and certainly in this pandemic time. So you can financially give to that effort. You can donate used equipment through our digital divide by doing a drive at your workplace, and we'd love to talk to you about that. And we're gonna have some advocacy efforts, opportunities available for you. To Suzanne's point, no family can really function in our modern economy right now without access to internet. So how do we make sure everybody gets that access? Lots of advocacy work to do on that front too.
United Way family, are y'all witnessing this greatness? Did you hear our leader of United Way use the word Techquity? I am going to create a Live United shirt with hashtag Techquity. Donate right now, just on the grounds of Techquity. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you so much, Amy. So Suzanne, we've got a question for you, and I think this is a great question in terms of what we can do as community members worldwide. Can you provide us with some insight or some additional perspective regarding United Way Worldwide's commitment to equity?
I have never been more proud of how United Way Worldwide has elevated a commitment to equity right to the top of our priority list. It's always been a value. You know, we have always said diversity, equity, inclusion has been a value, but we are really working hard to put that value into action. And two things that we accomplished, this was actually pre-COVID and before we got to this desperate, terrible, tragic place where we're dealing with this pandemic of racism. Earlier this year, I have a marvelous team at United Way Worldwide led by the amazing Marvine Hart. And she and that team developed two toolkits to support our United Way network. One is called the Equity Toolkit, the other is called the Equity Framework. Incredible resources, and also resources that can be available to any organization that's interested or nonprofits, and really packed full of tools and guidance on how to do your internal work as an organization around equity, but then also how to approach leading with equity in an external community-facing way. So those are two really amazing resources that we put time, resources, talent against to bring to our network in partnership with the Annie E. Casey Foundation. And then more recently, Amy, I should say Amy is an incredible leader, and so she was a leader in this work as well. More recently, our membership took a vote to change our membership requirements. So every United Way across the country has to meet some basic standards in order to operate as a United Way, and our membership voted to add to those requirements, and they added, and we voted. We had to vote as a network, and huge support to require 3 new requirements, and they are: one, that every local United Way, no matter where you are in a big city or a small town in Texas, you have to develop and publicly post an organizational statement against racism. Every United Way, no matter the size, annually has to have all of their staff and board members go through equity training. And then finally, we're working right now to further define this, but all United Ways will be required to use an equity criteria in their investment decision-making process. So we are really trying to lead by example. We are on a journey like all organizations, and we have a long way to go, but I'm very proud of how we have put our values into action.
I love it. Okay, so per Suzanne, write my equity statement before I go to bed. Awesome. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Amy, I want to ask you this on behalf of one of our incredible guests today. How is this year's campaign going to impact COVID-19? And actually, how has COVID-19 impacted this year's campaign?
COVID-19 is impacting everything. Of course, it's impacting our campaign. I want to take just a minute to highlight the incredible staff and volunteer leaders at United Way. When we went home in March, like a lot of us, I think we thought we were going home for a few weeks, and it became clear in the weeks that followed that was not going to be the case. And so in April, we had to make the decision of saying, can we run this campaign fully virtually? What would that look like? And our team identified 111 problems that would have to be different, a system, a staffing, a process that would have to be different for us to be able to be virtual this fall. And the incredible staff at United Way, we were daunted for a second, but only a second. Then they dove in and said, how do we do this? Our community needs us so much right now. There are so many people out there who want to support us, and we want to make that as seamless and safe and easy for everybody as possible. And so here we are. This is week 5 of the campaign. So far, we are hitting all of the milestones we would want to hit at this point, which we're really grateful for. We know that's thanks to many of you who are right here on this call, but we have a lot of weeks to go. So if you have not yet made your gift this year, this is an awesome time to do it. Unless you're giving through your workplace campaign, then pause and wait for that. But for everybody, thank you, thank you, thank you. This is an incredible time of need in our community. So many things are changing. And to go back to Suzanne's point and some stuff we heard earlier in the program, this shouldn't be about business as usual for us. This should be about how do we reimagine, how do we rebuild our community in a way that is not as strong as it was before, but is stronger than it was before and more equitable than it was before. And these are some sort of generational opportunities, that beautiful article, Suzanne, that you mentioned. These are some like moonshot opportunities. And we at United Way are not sleeping on those opportunities. We know you as our Women United Network are gonna push us in awesome ways to keep reimagining and rebuilding what our community needs us to do. And we are so, so proud and grateful for your partnership in all of those efforts.
The love continues. As our incredible leader said, we're not losing control, we reinvent it. So give, advocate, volunteer, I love it. This conversation is continuing to just get better and better and inspiring me. So we have another great question from one of our distinguished guests. And this question is for you, Suzanne. The question is, and I love this, what are you most proud of when you think of United Way's adapting in light of COVID-19? What are you most proud of?
There are so many things that I am proud of and I think our network should be proud of. It's one of those moments when you can't pick just one. But what I will say, but I will share some. I think, like, first and foremost, it's just good old-fashioned leadership. Like, our United Way leaders just stepped into the challenge and stayed there and said, we are here to help our community figure this out. Like, we are here to work with anybody who wants to work with us to figure this out. And they did it in really creative, innovative ways. If they saw toilet paper, they took it. If they saw diapers, they took it. No matter whether they were in that business or not, they grabbed on to whatever resources they saw and they got them into their communities. I've never seen United Ways more active. So they did a lot of sort of direct activity, but also just amazing leadership, not only in their cities, but also in their states. Governors have gone to leaders of United Way and said, I want you to convene all the nonprofits in the state to figure out how we're going to do this together. So just so many examples of that. And then what I really admire so much now, I don't know if I would say I am proud, and I'm also just in admiration, is the degree of stamina and fortitude and strength that our United Way teams and their boards and their volunteers continue to show up with. How, like, 7 months into this, when everybody's tired, but they know if they don't keep showing up, people aren't going to be served. And so the leadership is just so inspirational.
I'm inspired just hearing that, Suzanne. I had to write those words down: stamina, fortitude, and strength. I love that, and that's so incredible to hear that that's part of why you continue to be proud of the work that United Way is doing, even in the midst of COVID-19. Amy, question from you from one of our guests. What is the best way someone right now can support United Way?
Please give. If you haven't already, please do. And I'm thinking about Thelma's words about leadership and reaching to the back and the sides and how powerful that is. Same thing for your support of United Way. Part of what has made this Women's United network so powerful is all of the ways you've been willing to reach into your own networks and make sure people know the incredible work United Way is doing and what a difference people can make when they support United Way. So keep doing that, do even more of that. I think there's some new stories to Suzanne's point. I'm proud of the work. I know we're all proud of the work we've been doing for decades. But there's some really incredible examples from this year of things that have happened in our community because of donors like you, because of the great team at United Way and our great board and councils like you. So really, really powerful year to give and really, really powerful year to nudge those in your own life to do the same.
You heard it, Thelwalkians and folks from Waukesha County, you heard it. Give right now. Give. That's what we need right now. So thank you so much, Amy. Suzanne, another question for you. Love these questions. What is one of the Women United Global Leadership Council's biggest achievements from your lens?
From my perspective, it's the advocacy work. It's elevating the importance of advocacy work, not just at the federal level, but for our Women United groups in states and in cities, is the importance of women advocating for women. I'm really proud of the work that the Women's Leadership Council did to promote the United We Count, the United We Vote. I mean, we all know this has never been a more important year. And the Global Leadership Council is really focused on strengthening local Women United groups to be stronger advocates. So we welcome your ideas. We welcome input from the amazing women there, and we want to continue. The force of women advocating is the strongest force we have within our network. It really is. I'm telling you, we don't have a group of men, sorry Dan, or all the others who are on, we don't have a group of men who are really going out there and advocating in the same way that women are. And it's, again, I feel pride and I feel admiration for the voice they bring. I mean, you all led in Milwaukee with your with the focus on ending teenage pregnancy. Like, that was always held up a model, and you inspired others. The Global Council helped take those great examples and grow the effort around the country and the world. Actually, we're in 6 countries now.
Love it. I'm so excited to be part of the Milwaukee team as well as Waukesha County. Thank you for that, Suzanne. And to build off of the question, we also wanted to ask, what are United Way Worldwide's current priorities in response to COVID-19?
You know, I would say our priorities are not just in response to COVID-19. It started with COVID-19, but then, you know, I always say the second pandemic that followed, the pandemic of racism. I mean, we have reaffirmed our commitment to our work in education and financial stability and health and wellness for families, but we really want to elevate equity in that work and really push ourselves to look at our public policy priorities or our advocacy priorities, that we have to lead with equity in everything that we're doing. So that's from an impact perspective, that I would say is our #1 priority. Our other priority is just trying to continue to support our network of local United Ways to keep up that leadership and keep up that stamina, because we know we have a really long road ahead of us. As sad as it is, needs are going to increase and resources are going to be harder to come by. And so continuing to find ways to support them. And lastly, for me, whenever I have an opportunity with our leaders, you know, I saw so much confidence and so much pride show up in their response. And I don't want us to ever walk away from that. You know, we have proven we are so important and relevant in our communities, and we need to continue to stand with confidence in that space.
Can I stand up right now, Suzanne? You just inspired me. I'm just going to stand up just really quick. Thank you, ladies, both. And I knew this time would fly by. because you both are such amazing women and have already poured so much valuable actions that we can take. Now, when I am honored to be in the presence of incredible women such as you both, I always want to ask this before we close. Provide us one word to describe your experience today during our bruncheon.
Flourishment.
Flourishment. Amy, how about you?
Resolve.
Resolve. That's all I need to say. I don't need to say anything else other than, again, thank you ladies both for being here and making the time to answer our questions. Thank you to our event sponsor, Advocate Aurora Health. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you to all of you for making the time. I know you're zoomed out, but you still made time to be here and support Women United. We cannot thank you enough. Our chat will remain open after the event is completed so that you can stay on if you have time and continue to network with others. And don't forget to give. Give, give, give. Thank you all so much for living united.